The Student Ambassador Program is something that's directly connected to the Rye Commitment. In the Rye Commitment, it speaks of creating equitable, inclusive learning environments. And one of the things we learned over these past few years is that sometimes kids feel disconnected. And coming from our students who were representatives on the Inclusivity Task Force, they had said that being new to the school, being either a ninth grader or someone who's moved to Rye High School, can be challenging in getting to know people and feeling like a part of the community. It was a recommendation from that task force that we create some kind of buddy mentoring ambassador program. So last year we did a small pilot of the ambassador program, and we connected new students that had come to Rye High School with students who had been here and were familiar, upperclassmen, with the community. This year, in our second iteration, it's a much larger group. We've connected every ninth grader and every new student to Rye High School with a student ambassador or a pair of student ambassadors. And the whole purpose is to help them feel welcome, help them get to know people, and build a greater sense of belonging and work to become that more inclusive learning environment.
The Student Ambassador Program builds community through just close interactions, ideas of openness, listening, conversations, and just creating space for students to engage with each other around topics that they're concerned and making sense of.
Hi everyone, I'm Ben Lashiver and I'm the president of the Student Ambassador Program at Rye High School. This program was created to help incoming freshmen, transfer students, and special needs students acclimate to their high school environment and be provided with abundant resources to navigate the transition into high school. Helping these students are 60 upperclassmen mentors who meet up with their designated groups to answer questions, give advice, reflect, and build a stronger community and a sense of belonging in the high school.
The program has been a great way for us to expand on inclusivity at our school, and it's been very important to have upperclassmen mentor and help these freshmen on their first few weeks and first few months of high school.
I'm a student ambassador who helps out with students that are in the Garnet Crew. And if you didn't know, the Garnet Crew is a group of students who have special needs. What I love so much about this group is how happy and kind-hearted all the students are whenever we meet with them. We're able to help students in the Garnet Crew form friendships and bonds with other students in the school, which is very important.
The Ambassador Program meets every 3 weeks, and the way that we've tried to structure it is that there's these large group collective meetings of the whole program. Ambassadors, all students, ninth graders, upperclassmen who've come into the district recently, and then opposite of that, the next 3 weeks we do breakout sessions where students are in smaller groups, often paired with 2 ambassadors and then 10 or 12 students in a cohort. And we see sort of the large group sessions as an opportunity to communicate big ideas, themes, topics, and then the smaller breakout groups is an opportunity for integration, reflections, conversations around those. Over the course of the program, we really first start with this idea of introductions, community building. And that's what we look at in September. How do you build community, both as an ambassador, but how do you become a part of a community as a new student or a ninth grader? When we got into October, we want to think about sort of this idea of broader sense of reflection. And this is where we engaged upperclassmen and their insights to share with younger students. As we go forward, then we want to think about gratitude, which is such a powerful tool in sort of reframing one's own perspective and their experiences. And connected to gratitude, that idea of service. One of the concepts is to create a collective service experience for the students, which we know both builds a sense of community, but also contributes to the broader community. And finally, we look at this idea of goal setting, intentionality. Like, how can you be empowered in your own sense of purpose and passion? How can not only you align to high school, but how can the high school align to your interests and your desires? Before the ambassadors start with their cohorts, we do 3 trainings. We do sort of an intensive, a 2-part intensive in June, after they've been selected, and then we do a refresher in August, right before we sort of have the welcome back barbecue. And then before each of the 3-week sessions, we touch base with the ambassadors. We want to see where they're at, what they're thinking, what their struggles are. We, more than anything, talk to them about creating space, about being listeners, about supporting students, being a resource, helping them to connect to resources. And one of the key shifts is we're not looking for ambassadors to solve problems. We're looking for them to help and assist students in finding the path to those solutions. And I think that's an important component. And we see that in the students that are selected. We try to grow and nurture that through the trainings.
You see them genuinely becoming leaders in the building and shifting the culture themselves. We really kind of expected it to be leadership in a finite way, but it's starting to, as a program, transition out into students being leaders in the building and not in a program, which I think is the ultimate goal, right? You want students to start to live the life that they're saying they live. Students apply for mentoring in the program or for being a student ambassador around April, so that we have enough time to start to train the students, meet with them, really make sure that they're going to be invested, committed, interested before school ends, so that we can turnkey the work over the summer and make sure we're ready to go. And they apply through an online application form. It's a Google form, and it gets sent and posted in both the 11th and 12th grade Google Classroom, so all of our students have access to it. And then currently there's a small committee of administrators, teachers, social worker, who are working together on placements and thinking that work through. We're hoping in our second year to expand it to include additional teachers so that it becomes more of a cultural existence than a program.